confirm if our audios are good. I would like us to say something. It's just unmute, if it's just to greet, just to confirm if your audio is good as well before I start.
Good evening, sir.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Your audio is good. Mr. Innocent, please, can we confirm your audio as well? Okay, so Mr. Innocent, you muted. You can mute.
I can hear you.
All right, all right. Okay, so we'll have to start. Others will join us in between. So this is actually what we have done so far. We started by looking at data cleaning. But our first class was general introduction to data analytics, where I told us that data analytics is the art of processing data, identifying insights, patterns for decision making. And I also spelled out different types of data analysis, where we mentioned descriptive analysis, which answer the question, what happened? Then we'll also talk about other types of analysis, such as the prescriptive, diagnostic, and predictive analysis. Right? After that, the next thing we did was to learn how to load, how to sort out our data. Because I did said that one of the primary responsibility of a data analyst is to sort out his or her data, data he or she wants to work with. And that led us to exploring an open source called cargo.com. Then from Cargo, we are able to download well-structured data and then be able to decrypt it, because when we downloaded it, it was zipped. So we have to unzip it, where I talk about different applications that can be used to unzip a zip file. And the next thing we did was to look at some Excel techniques on how to perfect our data, and where we played around some important techniques. So for those of us that were not in that class, I will encourage us to go through the video and be able to sort yourself out. Those videos are well explanatory. You can go through them and be able to replicate what we did in those classes. Okay, now these are some analysis questions that we answer in trying to inspect our data. I told us that one of the primary responsibility of a data analyst is to find out what the data set he or she is given is made up of, so that will enable you to draft meaningful questions that will lead to meaningful insights that will end up enhancing stakeholders' decision making. So the first question we answered was how many labels / features are in the data set. So this is the data set we are actually focusing on. So we use a technique that give us the output as 14. So which means that we have a total 14 headers in this particular Amazon data set that we are working with. We also answer another question which says how many records are in the data set. And I said it is one of those things you should check or find out whenever you are given data sets. Finding out how many records are in the data set. So we also find out after applying an Excel technique, we use a function called count, and that was able to count all the records to be 101. Then here we also answer another question which says, what is the minimum profit? So here we started looking at some Excel basic statistical functions. Applying minimum, as you can see here. So this is the formula that we use that help us to analyze the minimum profit generated from this data set. So if I could just show us the column we are referencing. So this is the column. So what that function did was to output to us the minimum profits. Like I said, there are decisions that need to be made by knowing the minimum, and there are also decisions that need to be made by knowing the maximum. And that is why we took our time to analyze all this. And here, this is where we try finding out which of the country generated that minimum. Then here, this is where we also apply. Here, we actually combine two functions together, the minimum and the max and the if function. So I showed us a technique that can enable you to nest if function inside the minimum. So like I was saying, so here we use a technique that help us to, the question we're actually answering here is, what is the minimum profit where total profit is greater than this particular value? So we wanted to know. So this time around, you are not actually looking at the entire record or entire profits minimum. You are looking at minimum profit where the profit is greater than this. So if you check the formula here, we call mean, and then we nested if, and then we call the data. So by the time you go through the video, you will be able to understand all this. So why I am paraphrasing is for us, so that when you are watching the video, at least you will have an idea on how to simulate. Now, what is the maximum profit? So here we analyze the highest profit generated from this same data set. All the values here, we outputted the highest profit, which happens to be this. And then here we answer what is the maximum profit where total profit is greater than 600,000. So this is also finding the maximum with the if conditional function. Then here we answer what is the highest number of order ID. So we wanted to know, if you look at the data set here, there is a column that talks about ID. There is a column that talks about ID. Look at it here. So we wanted to know based on the ID, we wanted to know, I think the ID we referenced was this, order ID. So these are different ID that define the order placed by the customer. So we needed to know which of these ID was used most, because it is very possible that in a supermarket or in a business, you have one particular customer with a unique ID, patronizing you several times. So we needed to know. So what we did here, I think we use a function called what? Mode to do that. These are basic statistical functions we were all taught in secondary school. So what I did is that I did not actually commonize them. So I decided to show us how we can actually answer meaningful analysis question with this basic function. This is second. All right, so that was actually what we did. So you can see that I have summarized everything we did. So if you want to know the processes we are engaged in to be able to get all this, watch the videos. Now, tonight, we are advancing to another form of analysis. We are looking at a cell exploratory statistical function. Now, remember, when we started looking at various types of data analysis, we mentioned descriptive analysis. So under descriptive, I told us then that there are different techniques that are applied in order to get all the questions under each of these analyses answered. For example, we did say that under descriptive analysis, you are going to answer questions like what happened. So let's take, for instance, you have 3 different variables which could represent different products in your data. So if I could just switch back to Excel so that I can make it more conceptualized. Now, let's assume I'm just using this as an illustration. Now, let's assume that we, at the end of our analysis, we are reporting that out of the unique country or the unique region here, let's focus on country. The unique country here, we are presenting a report that says one of the country generated higher profit than the other. At the end of the day, as a data analyst, you are expected to also give them an insight as regards to what happened that that particular city or country generated the highest profit. That kind of question, whenever it is being answered in your analysis, it is referred to descriptive analysis. Now, a way of taking it further, you have to perform another analysis called diagnostic. That diagnostic analysis is where you begin to find out how it happened, not this time around, not what happened. You now begin to explore the data, begin to read through the data to begin to find out some reasons or some processes and begin to identify some patterns that actually led to the variable or the country A at performing orders. So these are different stages. Now, after that, you now look at, okay, where we talk about the prescriptive analysis is where you begin to apply some techniques, because the truth of it is that each of these level of analysis or type of analysis has different techniques that need to be deployed. And that is why in this section, I am going to be focusing on techniques for data mining, techniques for exploratory analysis. That is, we are going to be deploying certain advanced, or let's say intermediate and advanced Excel statistical functions that can be used or that will serve as techniques under descriptive analysis to exploit our data for insight that will influence smart decision making. So I just want us to get it right, because when you go for an interview, don't be surprised They ask you questions like this. If you
They are doing
claim
online
that
research
there
now.
is a type of data
What I think here
analytics
is
called descriptive, there can be a child question that can be, asked. A question like, okay, can you mention the techniques used in performing the descriptive analysis? So tonight is going to answer that question. So all the techniques, all the functions that I am going to work with in this section, they are all techniques that can be used to answer descriptive analysis questions. Now, we are starting with the first one. The first one is sum if. Sum if. Now, the word sum is an inbuilt function in Excel library. If you look at some of the analysis we have performed before now,
there's a background noise. We have a background noise that is interrupting your own.
They don't get cause problem. I have got enough problem for.
hello, what is happening here? Somebody audio was seriously distracting. Mrs. Oye, do you have any question?
No, maybe you can repeat what you said in the last 1 minute or so, please, if you don't mind.
Let's try as much as possible to avoid distraction. Whenever you are not talking, just remain muted so that we can have smooth conversation. Thank you. All right. So I was trying to give us a picture of our focus tonight or in this section. I said in this section, we are going to be looking at different techniques or methods which are used for performing descriptive analysis. In other words, these techniques will help us to answer questions like what happened, like I have established before now. And I'm starting with the very first one, which is the sum if. Now, the sum if is actually a Microsoft Excel statistical function. As a matter of fact, all the functions I'm going to work with in this section, they are all statistical functions that falls in either intermediate or advanced. These are not basic. We have already taken care of basic in our previous lectures. So this section, we are focusing on intermediate, that is the set of statistical functions that are in between the advanced and the basic. But definitely they are not basic. Okay, now I'm going to be showing us how, as a data analyst, you can actually deploy them to answer valid descriptive analysis questions. So what is the sum if? Like I have defined on my slide here, the sum if function in Excel is used to add up the values in a range that meets a specific condition or criteria. Now, these are conditional functions in Excel. Most of these conditional functions, they are functions that, as an analyst, you have to spell out the criteria or the condition before an expected result can be derived. So these are not the kind of functions that will involve adding everything under a column or under a row. These are a set of functions that you have to define a criteria before they can be used to answer analysis question. Sorry. Okay, so like I was explaining,
I have to display the syntax here so that I can explain it very well, because once I'm done with this explanation, I am going to switch from my slide and then draft some very active analysis question that we are going to answer with this function. So I will advise you pay more attention as I explain the function, because once you do not understand the syntax of a function, you will definitely miss it. Now, here I have explained what it is. So in other words, this is a conditional function that add up values. And these values might be in a cell range, or, okay, let's say might be in, will definitely be in cell range. So what do I mean by cell range? So let me quickly switch to Excel and show us. Whenever we use the term cell range, we are talking about the collection of values you have across different or multiple cells. So for example, if I highlight the whole of this is referred to as a cell range. That is values that are in cell, starting from here down to where my selection stop. Because each of these boxes, they are called what? Cells. And at the same time, they are called variables that are holding different value within the spreadsheet as the what? The framework. Okay? So now you understand what I mean by what? Range. Value in a range. Now, if you are talking about adding values in a range, then we need to define the distance. The distance. Now, that distance definition is what we know as arguments. So we need to get some of these terminologies right. So what do I mean? I want you to observe what is happening here. Let me highlight from here to this. So what is the range? What is the range? The range is measured by the argument. What is the argument? If you check here now, we have O2. We have O2. We have O2, which means that the values you selected, they are under what? O column. So if I shift to this, if I select another set of values under N, you can see that what? It has changed from O2 to what? N2. So that N2 you are seeing there is a way of defining, sorry about that. So I hope you were still with me. So now I was trying to explain the interpretation of the N2 here. So the N2 is an argument. So what is an argument in this case now? Professionally, how do we define an argument? An argument is the specification of the location where the selected values are within the worksheet. Because in one of the classes, I said in a single Excel sheet, we have 1,048,576 rows. And I also said that we have about 16,384 columns. So what we are saying is that if you start counting E, F, G, H down to the last one, you will have counted 16,384. Then if you start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, till we get to the last row, we must have counted 1,048,576, which also means that an Excel single sheet, just like this one that we are, can actually process or handle over 1 million records. Okay, so now let's bring it back to why we have the N2. So the N2 is telling us that we are in column N, and your selection started from 2. Okay, your selection started from 2. So that is the argument. So the argument in this case is going to be N2 to what? N13. So I want us to get that right because that is what I'm trying to explain here. Now, each time you activate a function like the sumif, it comes with some parameters definitions. So what are these parameters? These parameters are like the required data that need to be given to the function before an expected result can be generated with the function. So which means that for you to successfully use this function, sumif, to answer analysis question, you must supply range, which is the cell. That is, you must define between where to where the values that will be summed up are. That is where you supply your range. Then you add a comma. Then immediately you have added your comma, you define the criteria because, like I said, this is a conditional function that requires definition of criteria before those values can be added up for you. Now, anytime you see any value or parameter inside the square bracket is optional, like I have explained here. The sum range, optional. The actual cells to add, if omitted, except some of the cells in the range. Okay? So now I believe I have explained the sumif function. Now, for you to understand it better, we are going to switch to our dashboard and see some valid questions we can actually what? Ask with it. Now, the next skill set you are expected to have is how do you draft your question? It's one of the skills you must have as a data analyst. Let me summarize the category of skills you should have. The first set of skills you should have is skill on how to sort out your data. The second category of skill is the data cleaning skill. And then once your data is perfected, the third category of skill you should have as a data analyst is the ability to draft insight derivation questions. Because we need to understand that these questions that we want to draft, they are drafted for reasons. The target is that this question will lead us to the insight we want to derive from the data that we are going to present to the stakeholder at the end of our analysis, which is known as our conclusions, that will help the stakeholder in making smart decisions. Don't forget your core existence as a data analyst. Your primary role is to draw insight from data, actionable insight that a company CEO, manager, or the admin can leverage on, that can guide them in terms of decision making. So whatever you are doing, those questions that I want to show us how to draft now, they should be geared towards deriving insight. So these are not the questions you just come and say, okay, what is the total profit generated per item type? So you ask yourself, how will this question influence your insights? So that is what you should have registered at the back of your mind. Okay? Now, I'm going to show us how you can use AI command prompts to actually what? Get these questions drafted. So how do we get these questions drafted? Now, ordinarily, as a professional, you should know how to draft your question. So let me now introduce us to the AI aspect first, because there is AI techniques that I wanted to show us. Well, let me show us how you should be able to reason your questions out first before you think of leveraging on AI, because if you are not wired with this concept, you may not know how to even influence the AI to give you the expected question. So let me not go AI first. Now, you are given this data set as a data analyst, and you are meant to exploit insights with this function called what? The sumif. So what are the kind of questions we can actually answer, or the insights we can derive with the sumif? So I'm going to draft two questions. Then I will answer one. And then maybe I will allow you to answer the second one. So this is our data set, which we have already studied. So I don't think there's anybody that is strange to this data. So I'm going to be focusing on my country. I'm going to be focusing on country and total profit. So the first question is, let me put it here. So I'm going to merge the whole of this section. The whole of this says I will merge them together and use this to describe this set of analysis that we want to engage in, which I have already taught us how to merge. So select across the number of cells you want to merge together. So let's assume I want to merge from column B down to column H. So after highlighting them, then I go to Home tab. From Home tab, I'll come to this section where I have merge and center, merge across. So I will use merge center so that it will centralize my entry automatically. So what are we doing now? What we are doing now is performing exploratory. Analysis using a cell starts intermediate. Intermediate functions. So there's need for me to have more space. So let me still extend the merging. So I'll go back to where I did it before. From Home tab, come back here. So you click here, it will return it, then click again so that it will merge. Now you can modify it. You can modify it. I will correct with my, okay. So zoom it, because your metric have to be visible to yourself, because at the end of the day, you are going to compile all your insights to form your final conclusion. So just to give this section a focus, so I will just give it background color and switch the text color to, let me make it smart so that we can see it. It's just a second. Coming. All right, so And there is so now let me bring the question. The question is, let me start again, question 1. So I will merge this together also just to outline my question. The question is, what is the total profit what is the total profit generated from, so I'll pick one of the city. So I'll pick one of the country. Remember, we have, let me go to the data source and check out for one country. Okay, so let's assume that there are several places where, okay, I think let me put it on the item type. Okay, what is the total profit generated for baby food only? Because I can have baby food repeated. So we want to know the total profit generated for only baby food item. So going back to my reporting sheets from baby food item. So this is analysis question. So let me also enhance it. And this is where I want to output the results for now. So how do I answer this question? We are going to use the sumif function, which I've been explaining since. So I'm going to start by entering equal sign. So the equal sign in Excel is a rule, is a standard rule that indicates that you are writing a function. So anytime you want to write function in Excel, you either start with the equal sign or you start with plus sign. But most time we use what? The equal sign. Now, once you have typed the equal sign, you call the name of the function, which is sum. Once you type sum, Excel is going to pop up all the functions that have that keyword, sum. So the one you are looking for now is the one with the if, because your summation of profit is conditional. Because if you look at the question says we are to add only value under profit column that are traced to baby food. So if you have a value under total profit, and by the time you trace that value to the item column and it does not align with baby food, this function will skip it. So the function will only look for the values that align with the selected item. So which means that you need this one. And not just this one, because this one that have S can actually answer the question. But I'm not looking at that at the moment. I'm looking at the ones for single criteria analysis. Now, you double click on it in order to what? To complete the function definition. Now, you can see what I was explaining in my slide the other time, the parameters. You can see the first one is range. After range, comma, followed by what? Criteria, and the sum range we have in the square bracket, which we were told that what is optional. That if you leave it, Excel will work with what? The range you define. Okay, so I'm not going to work with that because I am going to define my range. Now, logically, my range, pay attention here, my range is the column where the criteria for summing up the values under total profits are or is. That is going to be my range. Now, if you look at the question carefully, the question says, what is the total profit generated from baby food item? So what is mentioned there is what? Baby food. Then you ask yourself, under which column in your source data you have the baby food? baby food is under what? Item column. So which means that I will switch from this particular dashboard sheet to the data sheet and select all the values I have here. By selecting the first one, please, it does not really matter whether the first one is baby food. The first one can be cereal. Even if it is not baby food, you have to start with the first cell, which is simply mean you are only defining the range where the criteria for summing up the total profits are. That is what you are doing. So it does not matter whether the first one is baby food. So now, remember all this while, I have been teaching us a technique that can help you to highlight all the values in a column. So all I need to do is to select the first one, and instead of me dragging it manually, I will hold down the control button on my keyboard, also the shift button on my keyboard, then press the down arrow button. I believe you should be able to trace these three buttons that I mentioned on your keyboard. On your keyboard by your left hand side, before the cap lock, directly under the cap lock, you will see shift, you will see control. So you hold down the two buttons. Then by your right hand side, you will see where the label 4 arrows. One is facing up, one is facing down, one to the right, the other one to the left. Now, the one you are to hit after you have pressed down the shift and the control button is the one facing down. Why? Because the direction of our selection is what? Down, not up. So I will just hit it. So the moment I hit it, you can see what Excel did. Excel has automatically selected all the values you have there. Now, but there is something I told us the other time that we should always watch out for. There could be more entry tomorrow. This could be ongoing entry. They have not come to the end of data collection. They are still collecting. So if by tomorrow now, they impute or they make another sales tomorrow now and they impute the value here, it means that your analysis will not be updated automatically. So a way of programming is in a way that once a value comes in, it should automatically update your analysis sheet, is to still hold down the control and the shift and still press the down arrow button one more time, and that will select the whole of the cell you have in that column. So which means that right now, you have accommodated all the cells. Once a value comes in here, it will automatically what? Apply it to the analysis we must have performed before now. Now, that is your range. So you can see it here. Amazon is telling us that the name of the sheet where you selected this range from is called Amazon Sales Data. As you can see it what written here. Now, this data exclamation, okay, that is still part of what? The name of the sheet. Now, that exclamation D2 is the definition of the argument that I spoke about the other time. Which column this range are? They are in column D2. Then that column you are seeing there, these two dots, is what differentiates the starting point and the end point. So what you are simply saying is that the range you have selected start from D2 to what? D1,048,576, which I have mentioned earlier on. Now, this is the range. Then you don't have to go back to the sheet. Please take note of that, because the moment you switch back, it means you are saying that the range are no longer in this sheet. And that will end up generating what? Error. Now, when we were explaining the format, I said after the range, before you define your criteria, you put a comma. So I have already what? Supply one of my parameter, which is the range. So look at this place now. You can see that this is no longer active. The moment I added my comma, this has been, or this is deactivated, which means that what? I have supplied this information. And the selection have shifted to criteria. Criteria is the condition for adding. Condition for adding the value. Remember, the condition is what? Where item is equal to what? Baby food. So what I'm going to do is to select the first baby food in this column, the first baby food. If you select this very baby food, it will exempt the what? The profit. Okay? So if you are picking your value from the data, please let it always be the first one. So with this now, I have also supplied my criteria for the summation. So what you did first is to acknowledge under which column the criteria will be picked from. That is what you actually did. Now, we still have to select another argument because the function is to sum up value. The value you have selected so far, they are string, they are not number. The number we are targeting will be what? The values we have under total profit, which means that we are saying that within this range, where you are, what we are telling Excel is that search within this range. If you can find baby food, then trace the value to total profit and add them up. So how do we supply that? We bring in another command here. So we are being logical here now. We are twisting it based on this field. Okay, so we are going beyond the basic explanation of it now. So after this, the next set of range you are going to highlight will be the value under total profit. So I will select everything using the same method, hold down the control and the shift, and then press down the down arrow button, then so that by tomorrow, it can capture the words, the future entry, still hold down the control and the shift, hit it again, so that it will capture everything when values comes into the cell. Then you press enter. The moment you press enter, the answer has been outputted here. So this particular result you have outputted here is, this is the total profit generated where item type is equals to baby food. Any question? Ask question, please. Are we following? Is it clear? Because we are going to do it now as classwork. Is it clear to everybody? Please kindly unmute and speak out if it is not clear to you.
Hello, sir.
I'm with you. Go ahead.
Please, can you just take it one more, please?
Okay, I will do that, but let someone else second you.
Please, I'm seconding it.
Okay.
If you can take it one more time, please. I joined in the middle of the class and
okay.
My apologies.
Okay.
My apologies.
Okay. Now, there's no problem. Now, taking it again, I will use a different method, but the same thing. Just watch. To make your work easy, next time, what you should do is this. Since your criteria for the summation of the total profit is based on what you have under item type, just copy the whole of this item type, copy, Control C, then go to your analysis sheet, highlight some range of cell, Control V. So what I've done now is I have transferred all the values. But what I actually want here is that each type should be represented with one value. For example, I shouldn't have baby food repeated twice. So just one baby food that will represent all the transaction where item is equal to baby food. The same thing to what? Serene. The same thing to office was supply. So which means that we are going to apply one of the data cleaning techniques, which means we have to remove duplicates. So we have a lot of duplicates here. So I'll simply select the whole of this range and then go to your home. So from your home here, from data, go to data tab. From data tab, navigate to somewhere here, you see remove duplicates, this icon. Click on it, and then it will tell you that I have identified where values are selected to be column B. Just confirm whether that is the right location, which is the right one. Just click OK. So now Excel has automatically deleted 89 duplicate value and has kept what? 13 what? Unique. That is another analysis question you might be asked later as we proceed. How many unique products does this company deal with? From here, I have already what? Find out. So if I come back here, you can see that I have only the unique product what are listed. Okay. So now that question that we answer, we actually said only baby food, but now I'm going to answer it in a way that it will replicate it for all. So let's go again. So what I'm going to do here, I will label this particular header to be total underscore profit. So if you don't get this method, probably you get the other one. But this one is more professional, but I wanted to go basic. That is why I have to go by showing you just one first. Now, I will have to format the whole of this section. So I go to home. These are basic things we have learned before. So just to make it stand out. Now, we are going through it again. Start by activating your equal sign. Activate the function sumif. Double click on it to complete it. Then your range is to go and select the column where all these values, which happen to be the criteria for summing up what? The total profit as my range. So I'll switch back to my data and then select all the values I have under what item. And I said, instead of you manually going like this, that was the reason why we just selected the first one. And then we held down the control and the shift and then press the down arrow button that helps us to select all the values at once. Now, comma, then we have to define the criteria. Now, what I did the other time, because at that point, I do not have all my unique value, my unique item listed in my dashboard. That is why I came here to select the first baby. But now I have listed all the unique items, which baby happened to be one of them. There's no point of me picking it here. What I'll simply do is to switch here and pick what? The baby here, baby food here. Then put a comma and then go back to the data set. Then pick all the values under total profit, which will be summed up based on the condition, which is baby food that was selected. Then highlight all the values here also, and then hit enter. So automatically, this same answer that we got here is what we have outputted here. But what is the difference between this one and this one that I just did now? Now, in the case of this one, supposing you are asked to do the same for Siri, you will have to go back each time you want to get that same analysis for each of these unique products. You have to be going back here to be referencing the argument. But in this case now, I will leverage on Excel AI just for you to know how powerful Excel is. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to autofill the English meaning or the technical meaning of autofill means that what? Take the formula you use in calculating for baby food, paste it here. Once you get here, travel to the data and get the corresponding value, calculate for Siri. The same thing, paste it here, go to the data, get the corresponding value and put it here. So instead of you going there like you will have done or like you will have been doing if you have to go this way, you are telling Excel that use this first one to generate for order. So you just click here and drag it. So you can see that what Excel has automatically generated or answered that same question for other unique word products. So I consider this one to be more professional because if you have to leverage on this, after this, you write this question again, you will change here from baby food to what? Siri. You write the same question again, you change here from Siri to what? To office supplies. So that is what you will have kept doing, which you have just saved your time by doing it like this. But there is an implication. The implication is that you notice that when I was selecting the values here, I stop here. I did not create room for future. That is the implication, because if you highlight the empty cell, it will not work like this. That means what? After this, in fact, I like being practical. I like being practical. Let's try to do it again. Let me just say, for example, I want to put it here, equals to, so this is an avenue for you to look at it again. Then go to the data set, call all the values you have here. This time around, I am exceeding where my current last value is. That is, I'm creating room for future. Insert my comma. And then go back to your analysis dashboard, pick the same word, baby food, comma. Then go back to your data set, pick everything you have under what, total profit. Now let's also extend it beyond where our last value is to create room for future. And then press enter. You see that it outputted the result for the first one. Well, let me try autofilling now. Can you see what we are getting now? So it's not replicating it. Why? Because there are empty values. In other words, there are empty cells. So that is the implication. So if you want to maintain it, that means for each one, you have to go back and do the same for each one. But you will only adopt this method that I use here where they are no longer entering more information. They have come to the end of the data entry. So they are no longer expecting more value to come in here. That is when you leverage on this. But if not, you have to be getting them one after the other. Is it clear to us now? Hello? Is it clear? Okay, let me call us by our names because it's as if some person does not want to talk. Mr. Innocent.
Yeah.
Are you following?
Yes, I'm following. Struggling a little because of the fact that the other classes have not been able to, like I told you in the afternoon.
Okay.
I've not been able to go through. Yeah, I'll create time within the week, but for the time being, it wouldn't give me any difficulty if I have to go through those ones.
Okay. Mr. Alfred, are you good to go now? Mr. Alfred?
No, I am not yet good to go, but I'm sure I will have to.
Okay.
Hello,
so
good evening.
So I am holding on.
I might have to go through from the beginning of the class till we're here now to really grasp everything. I just joined and I'm still fuzzy about the techniques you are using, but I will really like to go back and grasp everything before I can. Yeah. So sorry.
Okay. Mr. Ifeanyi, hope you are good to go.
Yeah.
Mrs. Mercy, how are we doing?
Very well.
Okay, so while I'm asking this question, please, I am going to allow us to share our screen in a moment. So we are going to do exactly what I've done as classwork before I proceed with the next function, just to make sure that we are actually following. So for those that join late and those that are here to watch other videos to follow up, you can, for now, you can stay on whoever I'm going to share his or her screen to be monitoring the processes. Miss Okafo Ngozi, how are you doing? Please kindly unmute and respond.
Okay, good evening. I don't know. I think on the same page with Mr. Innocent and Alfred. still struggling to pick up. So
To
maybe by
understand.
the time I go through other classes, I will
Okay.
follow up.
Okay. Understand your predicament. I know what to do. But just make sure that you are following. Grab as much as possible you can grab. By the time you sit down with the video for tomorrow evening class, you should be able to do something. Mrs. Oye, please let me hear from you as well. Mrs. Oye, are you still here? Okay, so while
I'm here.
okay, so now please let's start the classwork. The classwork start now. I am going to be hovering from one person's screen to another. The classwork is just 10 minutes. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Then I will resume the class. So for now, I want to go on the Mrs. Oye's screen. Mrs. Oye, please kindly share your screen. And those that are observing, please keep observing as we look at what they are doing.
I'm here. It's a total profit generated from baby food item.
Continue. You can please communicate. Just be talking. Just do as if you are teaching so that we can follow you up.
Don't know about teaching. No, I just want to. I just want to know if you can.
Just be telling us what you are doing. Just be telling
Okay.
us. Just try your
I
best.
want to type the question. I want to format the cells and type the question. It's a total profit generated. Let me just go to this thing later. I'll format so that it will be faster, right? Is it okay?
We are with you. We are with you.
Okay. So please hope I'm getting it though. After picking this in, should I put a comma before highlighting the total profit? Don't know.
That was the reason why I took my time. Madam, please, if you can. I don't know if you have been able to help yourself out. So is that putting, whenever you see this,
No.
hold on, just Control Z so I can explain why you are getting this.
Okay.
Just go back to, okay, you have already.
I'm starting afresh.
Okay, go ahead.
Please be looking at it, I beg.
Yes, I am looking at it. We are all looking at it.
So I'll come and pick here.
Okay. Yes. Add a comma. Add a
What next?
comma. Have you added a comma? Yes.
Yes.
Now,
Then how do I go up? If I'm going up now, look it. Okay.
use your scroll bar. Use your scroll bar. Use
See,
your scroll
the
bar.
comma has gone. Okay, okay. So
Use your
that's the
scroll bar
problem
to
now.
always go back to avoid
Okay.
reconfiguring your arguments.
Yeah.
Rest, I hope you are watching. So once I come on you, so that you don't waste time.
What's the problem, Mo?
So there are a whole lot of questions you can answer with just this function. Comma.
So I should go and use my scroll bar. Because if I
Yes.
click inside the
Click
worksheet,
on
it
that,
will
drag it up,
bring-
drag it up, drag it up.
Okay.
Okay.
So what will I click again on the baby food, the particular item?
Yes, you
The
are selecting.
criteria.
Yes, since you did not list it in your dashboard, you have to pick the
Yes.
first one. Pick the first one.
Okay.
Okay, then
Because
comma.
it's baby food that I'm computing, right?
Yes, comma, comma. Then select product value. Good. The same thing. Now you hit enter.
Then, or do I need to close it? Okay.
No. Just press enter because that's the last argument. Good. Perfect. So we are getting the same value. Okay, so
Then, please. Just 1 minute. Where did you remove the duplicate? Okay, you copied from the header, right?
you said
You copied from the header.
yes. You can actually copy from anywhere. That means when you get there, you now manually type that item type. But it's better you copy so that you don't have to start typing over there. But just continue. Paste. Okay. Now remove duplicates. Go to data tab. Rest. I hope you are watching. Then click on remove.
Yeah.
Your own is written there boldly. Just click on it. Now confirm the column where you have it. Click OK. Yeah, that's column.
Yes.
Yes.
So if it is not on the column, where will I change it? Here?
That means your selection. Yes, that means your selection. No, you have to go and do you have to select it right. You have to go back and select.
Okay.
Now, click OK. Let's move on from here. All right. Have you selected it? Click OK. If you can hear me, click OK. I don't know whether OK. Oh.
I'm here now. If I click sumif, will I go back to click on the range before coming back here to click on the baby food?
Correct. It is only the criteria that you are picking here. You have to go to the data to get the range.
Okay.
I believe.
So should I go down? Should I go down or stop where the data and where the entry?
It depends on you. If they have come to the end of, if this is the final data, then there might not be need for you to highlight empty cell. But if they are still entering more records, then you have to exceed where the last record is. If not,
ended. Okay. If I exceed, will I be able to autofill?
No.
Oh, okay. Let me do this method here first.
Yeah.
Why is my sheet like this?
What is happening?
I don't know why all these things are highlighted.
You can go back. Probably you must have selected wrongly.
I don't know. Let me continue to know whether I will get it. Should I enter on this page after selecting the total profit?
Yes,
Or
yes.
should I go back to the
No,
page?
you don't have to go back. Hope you have gone there to select the baby food.
Yes.
There, you press enter from here to have put your answer
Yes,
in.
I've done that.
Oh yeah, press enter from here. Press enter from here.
I've pressed enter.
Sorry, maybe my
So
network.
why is it giving me this value?
Eh?
I thought it's supposed to be the same thing with this.
Yeah, it was not valid done. Go back again. You should get the same value. You should get the same value. Probably your range is wrong.
So this
I'm
is equal to.
I'm watching
please.
now. Go ahead.
So I'm going back.
Yes.
I'm clicking the range.
Yes.
I should go back again or comma here.
Take your range here now. Take your range under item type.
After the range, should I put comma here on the argument part?
Yes, you put comma. Once you have
that was what
there must be comma. After the comma, then you select the values. After the comma, you are going back. Good. You are coming back here.
Okay, so that was my error. I didn't put comma.
Now, select where comma now. You go back and select
profit. Put comma again.
Yes.
Then go back. Okay.
And select profit. Select all the values under profit.
Okay. I should enter from here.
Yes.
Oh, yes, it's correct.
All right, so let's look at another person's screen. Madam, you can unshare now. Okay, perfect. So let's see another person's screen. Okafor Ngozi, let's see your screen. Let's see your screen and see what you are battling with, like you said, so that we can assist you. Please, okay. Are you sharing now? Hello, are you sharing your screen now?
I thought you said it would be before.
Can you share your screen? I hardly hear what she's saying. Okay, so let me see if I think yeah, you are coming up now. You are coming up. So where are you now? Have you opened your data? You should have you are far. I thought you have okay, just continue. Let's see. Okay, so I think I will allow you to take your time to go through the video and try to replicate it because you are still very far from where we are. Just kindly unshare and keep observing. Mr. Ifeanyi, let's see your screen. Unshare your screen. Mrs. Okafor Ngozi, please unshare your screen. Don't worry, once you go through the video, you should be able to pull up. Just more of observation. Ifeanyi, are you still here? It's like Mr. Ifeanyi is not here. Let me see. Oh, it's not here. Okay, Okafor, please, if you can hear me, unshare your screen. Hope you know how to unshare. There's a place where you click on stop. I want to continue. If you don't unshare, you may not be able to see my screen. So let me just answer one more question. You have to unshare your screen. Okafor Ngozi, unshare your screen. I don't know if she can hear me. Okay, so just try and see if you can unshare your screen. Once you are able to unshare your screen, that is when you'll be able to see mine. For the rest, I believe you can see my screen now. Now, let's proceed. Let's answer one more question and then we'll stop there so that we can go and understand this very well before tomorrow's section. All right. Now, please, I want us to pay attention. Now here we have our insights presented with a tabular model. Now, actually, as a data analyst, you must always define the model for presenting your insights. And the model should be non-technical. What do I mean? It should not be difficult for non-practitioner in this field to understand. It should be a very simple model. Now, it's not just bringing out values like this. This is actually just the first stage. There are other sub-questions that arises after you have answered the first question, which I want to draw our attention to. Now, what then happened? Remember, I told you that the descriptive analysis will always poses the question, what happened? What happened? Now, this was exactly what I was saying. So you can see that at the end of your analysis, you have been able to generate or explain the total profit generated per unique product. And you are presenting to the stakeholder right now that baby food generated this amount of money. Cereal generated this. Office supply generated this. Household generated this. Now, the next question is, what is the trend? Because in data analysis, we hunt for three things, which I explained when we started this program. We actually look for three things in the data. And having an idea of these three things will help us to present our conclusion that will influence decision making, smart decision making. And what are these three things? Trend. Anytime you analyze data, please always make sure that you are able to identify the trend. The trend here is the highest, which is like the mode in our last class. The highest occurring, but is slightly different from mode. Because mode, we are talking about the reoccurring. But here we're talking about what? The highest. So what is the trend? That is the next question we are going to answer with this now. The second question is that what is the pattern? If you are able to tell us that, okay, the highest is this, the least is this. Now, can you tell us the pattern? The pattern in this case is as in the movement. The movement. Because the pattern will inform the policies maker or the decision maker on knowing how you got to this particular stage, how or why you have one variable at performing the other. which is what we meant by diagnostic, trying to find out trying to answer the question, how did this happen? Not just what happened now. So what happened has given us this. How did it happen is when you are able to find out the pattern. So the pattern is what states how it happened. Then the outlier is the difference between what is the correlation, what is the difference, what is the degree of dispersion, how does the highest and the least disperse from each other, how they deviate from each other. That is the outlier. Now, the stakeholder needs this information to be able to make decisions. And even you as a data analyst, you need to identify the trend, the pattern, and the outlier before you can draw your conclusion. Okay? So that is what I want to bring to our notice here. Now, I have to look for a model as a data analyst that will help me to easily identify those three things I mentioned: the pattern, the outlier, and the trend. Now, this is a tabular model. A tabular model is a two-dimensional structure which is used to present your finding. Both the data set itself is using what? That tabular model. And your insight right now, what you derive from the data, which are these, are also presented with tabular model. But there's a challenge I'm having here. The tabular model is not able to help me to identify my pattern. It's not able to help me to easily identify my trend and also the correlation. So therefore, I have to bring in a graphical model that will be able to visualize it in a way that I can easily see my pattern, see the trend, and also the correlation. So how do I do that? I will simply select the whole of this tabular model. The moment you select it, you will see this icon generated, which means quick analysis. Quick analysis. If you read through, it explains that use this quick analysis tool to quickly and easily analyze your data with some of Excel's most useful tools, such as charts, color coding, and formula. So that is actually what I'm looking for. So I'll click on it, and then it will pop up all this collection of quick analysis tools. All these tools are actually meant for you and I to easily identify pattern, trend, and outlier. Because the current tabular method, if I have to identify this, I have to start comparing baby food value with cereal value with office supply value. Just imagine the time it's going to take. And that is the reason why we want to visualize it. Now, I will just come to this. Let me show us this method first. So using data bar. So if I click here, I have been able to know my trend. This is my trend. Without wasting time, I have been able to identify my trend. Now, you should have a PowerPoint where you are probably documenting, or Microsoft Word, or maybe one of the sheets here, where you are documenting your conclusion. So after this analysis, you go to where you have it could be PowerPoint. You can just go to a new blank space. You can just come here and say, you are recording this particular insight you have derived. So this will now become your observation. So this become observation. So let's say observations. Because anytime you analyze, you must specify what did you observe. If you perform any form of analysis and you are not able to come up with your observation, it's as good as you were not effective. You could not derive any insight. So your observation A. So I can just come here. Let me use my insight to pick this graphic text writer, and just to type A. My first observation is that I observe. I've just given us this example. This is how you are supposed to communicate as a data analyst. I observe that, I'll go back to my data, cosmetic. I observe that cosmetic generated the highest profits. So you have to reduce it, go to home, reduce the size of it. So you assemble your findings. So as you are deriving them, you are documenting them, because at the end of the day, this is what you are going to present. This is what will form your executive report, because the truth of it is that the stakeholders are not interested in seeing your technical workings. Okay? If you show them your technical working, they will look more confused. And you are a data analyst that's supposed to simplify. So they are not interested, except they demand for it. So what you pull out, just like at the end of each analysis, what you must have assembled out is what they want to use to make decision. Okay? So now, another insight I have been able to derive just by visualizing it with my data bar is to know the list. Now, I can easily find out the list here. The list is this. Fruits has what? The least generated profit. Now, whenever you are presenting your findings, your conclusion, please always capture the highest and the least, because every stakeholder or CEO or manager can only make effective decision when they know the trend or the highest and the least. Okay? So it will give them an idea on, okay, what to do, or the strategy to change and the new strategy to what, to probably what, introduce. So I've also found out that fruits has the least profits generated. So I will just Control D on this one in order to have the same formatting style. Change this one to maybe B observation. And then I also, here I can just add, I also observe that fruits generated the lowest what? Profit. Now, at times, please, it's very important you highlight the value instead of just saying it like this. So let's go back here and look at the actual value. The value we have here was, let me copy it, Control C. Sorry, that was not the highest value. The highest value is this. So let me just Control C. It's just a minute. Okay, so I want to also display the value because it will make more sense, knowing fully well that you are not bringing them to where you did your technical working for them to see it. So you have to call the value there. So I'll go to my PowerPoint where I presented this observation. So I will say what? With the sum of, then I'll paste the value there. So it will make more sense. So when you are presenting, you are also highlighting the value. So the same thing I'm going to do here, I will get the value for the lowest, which is this, Control C, then go back to my PowerPoint, and then add it with the sum of. So by the time we are going to submit our assignment tomorrow, this is how I want you to have documented all your insights. So Control V. So I'll put it here like this. Okay, so if you can decide to enhance your formatting by pointing them out with more obvious appearance so that it will be easier for them to identify why you are presenting. So this is, once you fill up this, then you right-click here and duplicate it. Then you continue what? The observation. So this is how we work as data analysts, because our job shouldn't be just outputting, displaying value. Those values that you are displaying, what do you intend to do with them? Remember that the question have led to the insight. When I started, I said one of the reasons why you must know how to draft analysis question from any given data is for you to be able to draw or to arrive at what? Meaningful insight. Now, just this question has helped us what? To achieve what? This insight, which can influence the company what? Decision making. But we still have other insights. You can see that just one function, sumif, has given us what? 2 insights, and there are still more. Now, the difference, the range, the other time I explained range, if you remember, I explained under basic statistical function. I talk about range. I said range is the correlation. Range is where you are analyzing the difference between the highest and the least, because this will have a way of informing them in terms of decision making as well. So how the formula I gave us then was that you enter equals to the highest value minus the least value, which is it. So now this is your range. Now you can now go back to your, let me copy it. Then you can now go back to your PowerPoint and also define it. I'm rounding up very soon. So this is your C observation. So here you also observe that the difference or the correlation or the difference between the highest item profit and the lowest is, I will just paste. Now, I want to replicate the same appearance. So I will highlight this one, then click on this command, format paint, and then highlight the area you want to display the same appearance on. And that saves you from highlighting it and going for all this formatting. Then you are saving. Press Ctrl S, specify where you want to save it. Let's say you want to save it on desktop, you can browse your storage because you might need to call out this particular report. So I save it as what? Observation. So I go back to my data set again. Okay, so that is what you keep doing until you are able to define all the necessary insights from your report. But now, before we end the class, remember I just showed us one of them. So I want to clear the formats. You highlight it, you come to Home tab, you navigate to where you have edit, click on this format, select clear format, so I will delete the visualization icon we added, because I want to show us another one that will also help us to identify trend and pattern. And that will be the last one before we end this section. Now, I want to also identify my pattern and my outlier and also the trend easily. Remember I said you select your report, your tabular report, click on this icon. Then instead of selecting data bar, I am selecting charts. Then from charts, I think this is the best one. So once I click on this, whether I want a horizontal bar or a vertical bar. So once I click here, this has also helped me to easily, you can see, this is the cosmetic, and then this is the fruit. Now you can, format this graph a little bit by selecting it and then check what is happening under chart design. Chart design. So I can come here and choose the one that have background color so that I can see the value clearly. Another thing I want to do, I want to tag the profit to each of these bars. So to achieve that, I'll simply make sure that you are on the bar, because if the graph is not selected, you will not have access to this set of commands. So make sure that the graph is selected and then click on Add Chart Element. So from here, go to Data Label and then select any of these. So I'll select the one that is giving me the best presentation. So let's say this. Let me check callout. So callout is also good, but there is need for me to expand it so that the values will not match. Good. So this is more visualized. Now, lastly, before we close, now in my reports, I want to display this graph. In my PowerPoint, I want to display this graph. That is, I want to also give them a picture of how, or I want to communicate all this value, how I arrive at this with an image for them to easily understand it. So that is why we say that you must always back up your report with graphs, because graphs has a way of helping them as non-technical people to understand what it is. So if you check this graph now, you can see the pattern here. You can see the pattern. You can see the pattern. This is what we call what? Pattern. This is the pattern of this graph. So you can see the pattern. So this is not good at all. If we are to be like profits, you can see here they did well. It came down, went up. So they experienced growth between this and this, and then it came down here, and then it moved up again, and then up, and then it started declining. So in business, this is a wrong signal. So once stakeholders see something like this, they will quickly what? Call the attention of the policy maker to change their strategy immediately. Now, how do I transport this to my presentation slide, which is PowerPoint? I am going to click here, type SN. SN, it will bring out this word, snipping tool. So just click on it. After this, I'm going to end the class. We have to close by 10. We'll continue from there tomorrow. Make sure that we don't miss tomorrow's section. So I'm going to answer more questions that have to do with intermediate statistical function. So once it brings out this, make sure it's not covering the components you want to capture. Then click on New. Once you click on New, it will inverse. You may not be able to see me for some time. So once you click here, it will inverse. I don't know if you can still see me. Then you can now select the area you want to capture. So I believe you should be able to see it now. So this is what you capture as an image. Now, once you click on the new, it will invert, it will give you a plus sign. Use the plus sign to cover the area of the graph you want to extract. Then switch back to your PowerPoint. Go back to your PowerPoint. Go back to PowerPoint where you are collating your insights. Let me minimize, but we are here. Then just do Control V. Just do Control V. It will paste it here. So you cannot have it here. You can stretch it just to have a better presentation. You can format it. Let me bring this down. You can click here and try to soften the edge. You can come here and make it look more presentable, something like this. Okay? So that when you are presenting it to them, you are pointing to this. As you can see with my graph, you can see this is the cosmetic having the highest word or the tallest word bar. So any question, this is where I want to draw the curtain. This is 10 p.m. As we agree, this section is 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. So if you have any question, you ask now. So by tomorrow, I expect that we must have also applied the sumif function to derive some of this insight. And if possible, you know how to use PowerPoint, you can do the same thing. If you don't know how to use PowerPoint, you can as well use Microsoft Word to do this. Please. Question, please. Do we have question? If there is no question, can we call it session? And I hope you all understood the assignment. The assignment is for you to replicate exactly what I've done. Please, I want everybody to make attempts. Please, everybody should make attempts. If there are videos you need to watch before you can present something to us tomorrow, please do. Just try your best. Even if you are not getting it, make sure you attempt this particular assignment. It is better you fail and then we correct you than never attempt to it. It's very important. Mr. Alfred, you have question?
I will just go through the video and try to have something to present tomorrow.
Okay, please, everybody must have some. Mr. Innocent, do you have question? Mr. Innocent, you want to say something? I don't know if he's still here. Okafor, Miss Mercy, hope you are following.
Yes, I'm following, so I don't have question.
Okay, so like I said, please, let's try an attempt. So what I will do is that once we join tomorrow, the first 30 minutes, I will use it to assess whatever we must have done. Where there's need for us to implement any correction, we will do. Make sure you are learning. All right, so good night. If there's no question. Okay.
Good night. Yeah, good night.
Good night, everyone. See you tomorrow, same time, 8 p.m. Thank you.